Hello everyone, it's nice for you to join me today. We are going to go over SharkCAD, the file drop down menu, and we're going to focus mainly on these lower portion items because you guys know what all this up here is. We'll also go over some capabilities of importing and exporting, and we'll also go over the preferences tab, which is your topmost set of controls for the program. So we'll start with this. Properties, y'all know what that is. Compact, it's basically you're wanting to reduce file size. You're purging things that you don't need in the file. In AutoCAD it would be purge. Reference. References, when you're working in SolidWorks, you can drag and drop a part into an assembly, and it's not, that part is not controlled in the assembly. It can be with SolidWorks. You can do work on that part, and as long as you're in the part while you're doing work, it's saved back to the original file. But typically you go to the part, you do the work, and then you come back to the assembly and you tell it to update everything, which SolidWorks automatically does that. So your part gets updated if it was changed elsewhere. So you got 10 designers, and they're changing parts constantly because people are telling them to. Well, your assembly could be affected by that. So this is the same thing. So these are both these parts on the screen. This is an individual drawing where I modeled this up, and this one here is a assembly. Parts here, they're just parts I've done in the past. They don't go together, but I'm going to use them for educational purposes at the moment. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to open this part. I'm out of my assembly. As y'all saw in the upper left hand corner, it said assembly. Now I'm at the part level, so I can make a change. Let's just do something simple. Let's add a fillet. There's fillet. Forgive me for not remembering where it was. And we'll just do 0.05. Well, yeah, 0.5. That'll work. We'll click that line. We'll flip it over, and you would never do a fillet on something like this unless it was molded plastic. But anyway, it'll get the point across. Now we click File, Save, and we're going to close this file. There you go. It does that not responding thing, but it did its job. Now you can see the part's not changed. With this program, unlike SolidWorks, you have to tell it to update. So you go to Reference, Update All, give it a moment to reload the files, and now you have that change enacted on your assembly. Import, that one I'm going to cover in detail. I'm going to scroll just slowly through what it's capable of importing. You can import SharkCAD profiles, of course. Well, that's what you're in. You can import 3D Studio, AutoCAD SAT files, SAB files, Illustrator, bitmaps. You can import the bitmaps to basically, if you import a front, a side, and a top view of literally anything, you can actually model it up. CATIA, V4, V5, SolidWorks, Solid Edge. Now it will import SolidWorks, but up to a certain year. It won't import the newer SolidWorks files because SolidWorks, they're the type of company, they want everybody locked out of their software. That way they can corner their market. Solid Edge, probably up to the latest version, they're the same as SolidWorks. But if you do steps, don't worry. Steps can go from program to program. IGES files can go from program to program. NX, Parasolid, 3D XML, drawings, DXFs, Facet, Fact, GIF, IGES, Inventor, that's Autodesk, JPEG, a grid surface, a macro, a PLY, a GIF, a TIFF, a PNG, Pro E. I'm sure Pro E is like SolidWorks. Punch, Objects, Rhino 3DM, SketchUp, Spline, Step, Steel, Text, TIFF, TrueSpace COB, VDA, and Wavefront Object. And they all have their own set of options. It's pretty much infinite. And to import, you click it, and let's say I want to import a ping. Click OK. It goes to your computer, which I'm not going to browse my computer too much on here, but you just go find the ping, you pick on it, and it pops up typically at 0,0,0, and export. Same set of functions. The ones I showed you before are here. Probably, it looks like maybe a few less, but to export a file, you just click what you want. I want to export my model as a SAT file. Click OK, it goes to your computer, you find a place to save it, and you click OK, and it makes you a SAT file. It's very, very simple. So now that we got that covered, we're going to go to Preferences. Okay, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to briefly go through here, and I'm not going to name everything off, but I just want just a brief summary of the things that I use. I'm going to stick with that, and we're not going to go over the things I don't use. So here in the colors, I've never messed with it. Foreground has always been black. My background's always been white. The display, object type, in the book it says this has to do with resolution, and it affects the speed of your computer, so you can pick from curve, surface is in the middle, solid is at the other end. Resolution is the same. Superfine is the most intensive for your computer, the highest resolution. The curves have the most, the splines have more segments to make it more round. When you go to coarse, it's less, so everything starts looking jagged. Now, I will give you a piece of advice, and that is, if you're rendering a scene, put it in coarse, get all of your objects where they need to be, get your lighting just perfect, get your materials attached to everything, keep using coarse and rendering so it's real fast every time. Once you've got everything the way you want it, switch it over to Superfine and do your final output render, which would be this camera here with the little piece of paper. And down here, pin weights, you can display them weights off or weights on. And this I've never messed with, but you could make your lines rounded on the ends or square on the ends. I've always had it on butt. Snaps, you've got a hit radius. That's basically when you get close to objects. You got alignment angle. Whenever you're dragging lines, if you get close to 90, it snaps. If you get close to 45, it snaps. Display snap text, so it snaps to where a piece of text has a control point. Filing, autosave's really all you want to mess around with in here. General, I've never messed with this page. Grid, this is your grid size and your subcomponents of the grid, whether you want it to be lines or dots, the color. Use a comma as a decimal. That's if you're in Europe. Like say I'm doing a drawing for Europe. Europe requires, at least their ISO 9000 does, they don't have decimals between the numbers. It's a comma. So 1.5 millimeters is 1,5. Okay, this is the select box. This is the units. This sets my units. I got them set at inches at 8 decimals. I user interface, small palette icon. I've I've never used this one either. Custom resolution. Now here again is where I set my superfine setting. Custom resolution. The resolution category allows the user to define custom settings for display resolutions. So I guess this is maybe an override for display. Printing, you can print in black and white, which for a lot of my clients that's what I have to click, because everything on my drawing sheet might have colors, but it all goes to black and white when I print. Okay, below preferences you have shortcuts, and it's basically for animations. And over here you got animate, flyby, object VR, panorama VR, paths, record a movie, and a walkthrough. Below shortcuts we have page layout. Now this one is important. Before you print a drawing, I've noticed to get my drawing to come out on the page the correct size, I have to do first. And it seems like I've always got to click on fit to area and align to center. But when I do fit to area, align to center, and uncheck this preserve annotation size. So we covered that. Now print setup, that's the standard print stuff. You don't need to learn any of that. Print by layer I've never used, but it seems to me like you can just click here and it'll print whatever layer you choose. And that's it. That wraps it up, folks.